Welcome back, everyone. And it is a real treat for us tonight to have with us Brian Hauswirth of the Tiger Radio Network. You'd recognize his voice certainly from the football scoreboard shows he does all across the country, including Missouri for Learfield IMG College. Brian's a guy I really respect. He knows as much college football as anyone because he pays attention to college football as much or more than most. So good to see you. How are you?
It's great to see you, and you bring up a very good point, Chris. And by the way, happy Mother's Day
Thank
to
you.
you and to the audience. But I'm going to have to get ready for the first time. This will be my 21st season, and my out cue has always been on Learfield. And a little bit it was Learfield Sports. Now it's Learfield IMG College. So there have been some transitions going on, a lot of work at the headquarters in Jefferson City. And it's an exciting time, obviously, but that'll be something I got to get used to on the out cues for sure.
Brian's been a mainstay with Learfield and now Learfield IMG College. His voice is heard throughout the country on those fall Saturdays, 21 years now. August 31st, Missouri and Wyoming, so you'll have double duty with that one on both networks. And how about it? Going to be a very early start to this coming season, one I think Tiger fans have a lot of reason to look forward to.
It is such a great opener to play there because it's a tough team. It's a team that you could make the argument, Chris, Wyoming at the end of the season may have been the hottest team in college football. Should have gotten a bowl berth. I mean, they won 4 games in a row. They had to win the Final Four. It's just it was a really rare scene where you didn't have, they had too many teams basically in bowls. But they're a good team. The field surface level, they're 11,000 feet above sea level.
So it's like the highest altitude, isn't it, in the country?
It is, and that's really, you have to kind of get used to that. But what an opportunity, or a good football team. I think Mizzou will win the game, but it won't be easy. And it'll be a chance to see Kelly Bryant as well. But Wyoming is a good team, and almost certainly will make another bowl berth this year.
A team coached by Craig Bull, the longtime Nebraska defensive assistant. All right, you said his name, Kelly Bryant. A lot of hype and hoopla around him, but for good reason, of course. He did quite a job with Clemson. What does he bring to Missouri? What do you expect from him?
I think right now, as I sit here, and I thought about him earlier today as I was preparing Chris, I think he has all the tools to be not only a great quarterback at Mizzou for that 1 year, but I look for him easily to be a first-round draft pick next year.
Really? He can be a first-rounder?
I think he can. Absolutely. Remember, Deshaun Watson took that position. He was the first freshman, Deshaun Watson was, to start at Clemson in 20 years. They actually unretired Fuller's number 4 for him. And it was tough for Bryant to go into that position at Clemson in Death Valley. But if you look at the way they both conduct themselves on and off the field, there's a lot of similarities. On the field, you can't tell them apart at times. But he's tough. He's physical. He's about 6'3", cannon for an arm, pinpoint accuracy. And what he had down there, the weapons will be a little different. He won't have a Hunter Renfro or an ETN or people like that. But he has Roundtree. He's got some great people, obviously, around him. But he's got the ability to run the ball, to throw. He's very elusive, and the only concern I had, it's nothing he did wrong in the Syracuse game. It would have been in 2017, the Friday night game. He suffered a head injury in that game. And that knocked him out of the game. That was a really serious incident. He rebounded from that very, very well. And I thought, Dabo Swinney really gave him the opportunity. He had Trevor Lawrence come in. I don't blame him he had to go where he was looking for an opportunity. And you and I think the last time I did the interview with you, I wasn't sure if he was going to come here or not. Lo and behold, he did. God, he's a tremendous quarterback. And from what I can tell, and I don't know him personally, a great person as well. Personally, and in the community, going out to these schools and stuff, that's awesome.
Made a great impression early, and especially with his teammates who really love him. And how about this Tiger team when you look at the parts? We'll talk about the schedule momentarily that seems to be so favorable. But other returners for Missouri in addition to the big newcomer, Kelly Bryant.
Well, Bryant is going to be the centerpiece of the team, obviously, at quarterback. There's no doubt about that. But you've got Brooks at linebacker, you've got Elliott, and you've got Roundtree in the backfield. Perkins, obviously, is going to be a big factor at safety. You lose folks, and, I think the other thing we have to keep in mind is Drew Lock, obviously, being gone. You can't emphasize that enough, and he was just fantastic. What 99 career touchdowns. And so his leadership will be something that Kelly Bryant will have to pick up on. But all those guys I mentioned, Barrister as well, they've got people that Barry Odom has recruited. They'll be in a good position, and I think they'll be fine. The schedule looks favorable, but I will say this, Chris, there's no gimmies on that schedule. None of them. I mean, Southeast Missouri State is a good football team. They are. They had a couple guys drafted into the NFL. Troy is a team. I thought about this today. We played Troy, 2004.
I was there.
You remember the And I remember Kerry Pink was very frustrated in that game, and Troy came in. And you go back to what I was talking about 2016 and Deshaun Watson. Clemson won the national championship in 2016. Their closest game outside of Alabama was Troy in the second week of the season. Wow. Troy lost to them 30-24. They were down only 13-10 at the half. They scored, I believe, an 88 and a 60-yard touchdown late in the game. Troy did. Only lost 30-24. And that tells you, in Death Valley, that's a good team. Now, a lot of those guys are gone, but that tells you the kind of players they recruit.
And there are no automatics, I'll grant you that. And at least Troy and Southeast Missouri are at home.
Yes.
But having said all that, when you're one non-conference Power 5 opponent is West Virginia with a new head coach and a new quarterback.
Right.
And, Brian, you have something that's never been seen before here. 5 consecutive home games in the first half of the season. After the trip to Laramie, Wyoming, 5 in a row at home. You can't get a better schedule than this, can you, on paper, as an SEC school, especially when you give up Alabama, have Ole Miss coming here from the West, and you go to Arkansas. Sign them up for that as soon as you can.
Exactly.
Odom said he wishes he got 12 in a row at home, but he'll have to settle for 5 in a row at home.
He'll do fine with that, but you bring up a very good point. Southeast Missouri State on the 14th, South Carolina, Troy, Ole Miss, and then they go, obviously, to Vanderbilt on October the 19th.
Missouri should be favored in every single one of those. I know we're sitting here in May, but think about it.
I totally agree. My only concern is you don't want to overlook anybody, and I'm not putting any, because they're all good quality opponents, but you cannot be in a better position than that. And then to play at home before the fans, it's incredible. It's a great opportunity. And then you also have to keep in the back of your mind, too, the appeal process with the bowl game. That's a big deal.
What do you think about that? When is it going to come down? I don't think before the fall, but it could. It could. Coming down during the season. Brian, I think this team has a chance to win a lot of games, and even if it doesn't win the SEC East, I think Georgia's the favorite, but Missouri could be as good as anyone after Georgia, right, going in. It could play in a big bowl. You finish in the upper half of the SEC, you're playing New Year's Day, maybe a New Year's 6 game, but very likely New Year's Day in Florida at least.
That's right, and that could have happened last year. A couple breaks on the end, and you and I talked about that the last time. I actually talked to John Sunvold, the former Mizzou star, the NBA star, who's now
the chairman of the curators.
The chairman of the UM Board of Curators, and he was down at the Capitol, say maybe a month or two ago, in my full-time job as the news director, and he was very optimistic. He said, you never know what they're going to do, but he said that they've got very good attorneys who are working on this. He was hopeful and confident that their appeal would be granted, but he had no time frame either. He just can't predict that. But from all indications, he feels very confident about it, and I know Dr. Choi does as well. There have been a number of Missouri lawmakers on both sides of the aisle who have supported the university.
Oh, they've all jumped in. They know an opportunity when they see it.
On both sides of the aisle.
And I'll tell you, I said earlier, Georgia will be favored to win the SEC East with all the talent and experience in recent years, but remember this, Missouri plays Georgia after Missouri has a bye. And on that same Saturday, Missouri's sitting out, Georgia plays Florida.
That's right.
Same thing last year. We saw it happen when Missouri went to Florida and walloped the Gators. They'll have a trip to Athens to try to do the same thing against Georgia. But I'm telling you, this schedule can't. I think Coach Odom wrote this schedule himself. I'm going to ask him that next time. It doesn't get any better for an SEC team.
And I think you bring up a great point about the schedule itself, because again, we've never seen it before.
No, never.
In terms of 5 games, and I still think the quality of the opponents is amazing. The Arkansas game, by the way, will be in Little Rock this year, War Memorial Stadium, which is being renovated. But it's a competitive schedule. It's one that fans, I think, will enjoy. And we should enjoy this football team, too. Kelly Bryant, I cannot say enough about him.
Big addition.
What a tremendous athlete he is, and people will enjoy him. He has a cannon for an arm. I can't wait to see him. And he'll get tested against Wyoming, because, let me tell you, they hit.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Brian. We're back right after this.